To understand a family, you need to go back to its beginning. For me, my family began with one man, a man who taught me love, compassion, and what it really meant to be a family. His name was Rodney, and he was my papa. Papa could not start this family alone. The amazing bond we all share started when he first laid his eyes on my grandmother Alice.
I've known Rodney since just before I turned 16, so it's many years. Through the whole of our courtship, we never really ever broke up, so it was an unbroken romance, as it were. We got engaged at, I think, the age of 20 or 21. He didn't ask. He just assumed. We had a very nice wedding. My mother made my dress. My father made Rodney's suit. We got married in church in Rosettenville. It was a very nice affair.
His relationship with my mom was, they did everything together, actually. He used to take her to work in the morning. When he was working, he used to drop her off and then come back early and spend time helping her with her work before they left to come home. They were just so comfortable together. They liked doing the same things. They liked to watch sport together, and they liked to be quiet at home together and go out to restaurants together.
He was a very loving man who gave affection to every member of his family, even the four-legged ones.
Sometimes you'd hear from the bedroom words like, "Oh, my darling, you are so beautiful." And then you'd know Rodney was talking to one of the cats.
Oh, he loved his cats. He actually drove people mad because all he wanted to do was talk about his cats. He adored his cats. He was a cat person. He didn't really like dogs that much, but his cats were everything to him.
When his daughters got married, he was filled with pride, because now his family was going to grow.
I remember when Peter came to ask him if we could get married, he was watching Dallas and he told him to go away and come back later. He was busy watching his program.
Well, when I got married, my dad was really the proud dad, and he got on very well with Robbie, my ex-husband. He would jump in and help with anything. So, when we were getting ready for the wedding, we could send him to fetch stuff. He would run off and get it, come back. He liked to be involved in the nitty-gritty of doing the things, and I think he liked to feel like he was needed.
A few years later, his family grew again.
He was besotted with babies, absolutely besotted.
He loved them, he played with them, he loved babies.
Well, he used to spend a lot of time with them. When they were small, he would go out into the garden and play with the little boys. He played cricket. He loved cricket, and he used to play cricket with them in the garden.
He was a very, very supportive grandfather.
He was a kind, caring grandfather that always had enough time to spend with all of his grandkids.
He was always interesting and fun to talk to and have debates with, because he always had a conspiracy theory to talk about.
We used to often go in the late afternoons to visit my grandparents and have tea and coffee. And
I remember we used to go around there and often have lunches with the family. So him and grandmother sort of brought the whole family together from my mom's side, because we would always go to their house and have big family lunches. And
what I remember most about him is his laughs. He used to just start giggling at the TV, and he had these hysterical laughs where he would start bouncing and everybody would just start laughing at his laughs.
My love for sport came from my papa. Whenever I was playing, I always heard his encouraging voice coming from the sidelines. And when we watched sport, we would always shout at the TV together.
To watch sport, he became part of the game.
If we knew there was a rugby match on or some sort of sport on a Saturday afternoon, we would clear out because he would scream at the TV and shout at the referee. And
We thought he was going to do the television in.
He always used to say to me that you could never get enough vitamin C. And I think his way of making sure of this was to feed us oranges whenever he had the chance.
He had a thing about peeling oranges.
He used to be so good at it. We always used to take him the oranges to peel because no one else could peel it like he peeled it.
He could peel an orange in one go. That was a special talent.
He used to always show us how he could do this.
And always you had to give him praise because he would show you, look, here's the orange that I've peeled.
He was quite active.
he could run up and down the garden, he would go walking.
He had no inclination to smoke or drink. It was abhorrent to him.
As my grandparents got older, the hustle and bustle of the city became a bit much for them, and they went from being 10 minutes away to 10 hours away.
Him and my gran moved down to Jeffreys Bay.
That was very difficult for me because they were like they were my family, my support.
And in Jeffreys Bay, they were very happy. And they were in a really settled existence. They were working at a little estate agency in Aston Bay, and they were just starting to sell some houses when my dad suddenly got ill.
I kind of blamed them moving to Jeffreys, that he got sick and there was no one there to be there with him.
And we took him up to Port Elizabeth just to see a doctor at the hospital, at Greenacres Hospital there, and try and find out what was going on.
When he got sick, it was very difficult for me because he was always so healthy, and I actually couldn't believe he was sick.
They started to treat him for kidney disease.
We went to see him. I could see that he was getting worse and worse.
They sent him for more tests, and that's when they discovered that he had bone marrow cancer. Now that they discovered it, they usually discovered it quite late. It had spread quite far, and he was too old really to get a bone marrow transplant. They kept that for the younger people. He would have to be going on to chemo. And at that stage, we were all very keen to get him back up to Joburg because all the children were here.
It was devastating.
My mom kept threatening him that he wasn't allowed to die, and he kept telling her, no, it would all be fine.
It was just, to me, like crazy. It couldn't happen. He was the healthiest person I knew.
He actually went very quickly. He wasn't in much pain. When the pain started, it was just after that his kidneys actually failed and he died.
His body just said, no, that's it. It didn't seem fair at all.
It really hurts when someone you have the best memories with becomes a memory. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the stories that they share.
His legacy, I guess, is two lovely daughters that he left behind in my mum and Vivian.
His legacy is to be a real old gentleman man. Not do things in excess, always, be the best gentleman you can be. He was a gentleman.
Papa was, I think, a one-of-a-kind type of guy.
He instilled a love for sport in the boys. They absolutely love sports.
He was always very kind and decent and treated people well. And he was also quite self-sacrificing.
It runs true in all of us, our compassion and our loving. We love our family, no matter who they are. No matter how much we actually hate them at times, we love them and we're always there in the end for them. And that's, that's how we were raised by him. The family comes first, and that's just how it goes.
I think his family meant everything to him. It's interesting because some people in life get more involved in work or other ambitions, and Papa dedicated his whole life to his family, whether it was for his grandmother, then his kids, and then his grandkids. I think that the one thing he would have loved was to come back to Joburg and spend more time with his grandkids and I'd love to know what he thinks of us all now.